Good news for Arsenal supporters because they're closing in on signing Martin Zubimendi from Real Sociedad. Now, he won't actually join until the summer, but he is a player who's got a €60 million release clause. That's about £51 million. Lots of other clubs have been interested in signing him. For instance, he was close to joining Liverpool last summer before that deal collapsed at the last minute. Last summer before that deal collapsed at the last minute. But Arsenal have been in talks to sign him. I think Mikel Arteta has played a big part in convincing the
Zubimendi, you have earned an enemy forever. I will be watching Sociedad games praying on your downfall, you emotional wreck. You're not even a man. You should give up your chromosomes. You're not even a man. You should go get a sex change because you're not a man. You're a pussy.
Zubi-Zubi-Doo, where are you?
To thinking, oh, I'm gonna miss the mountains of San Sebastian. Fuck Real Sociedad. I hope Real Sociedad lose every single game. I hope Real Sociedad get relegated. I hope Martin Zubimendi gets fucked in his career and they transfer him to Elche in the third fucking division.
Zubi-Zubi-Doo, where are you? We got some work to do now.
Of Spain, I hope they never select him in the Spanish top team.
Zubi-Zubi-Doo, where are you? We need some help from you now.
I hope every single plate of food that he orders in his fucking city has a bug on it. 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 Fuck Martin Zubimendi.
Hello, Raggy. Hello, Raggy.
Hello, Raggy.
Welcome back to Straight Facts on Tuesday. I had to revisit those brilliant videos from the summer after the big news today that Martin Zubimendi has agreed personal terms with Arsenal and they are set to sign the Spanish midfield player this forthcoming summer. We're going to delve into that and more transfer needs for Arsenal. We're going to be previewing the Premier League games ahead this midweek. Some people have actually forgot there's Premier League football starting today. I'm joined by the boys. We've got LB in the house. We've got Dan Potts as well. How are you both, gentlemen?
Yeah, man. I've got to say, big up to that intro, man. I just forgot how much of a head loss moment that was from Hassan, man. I love Hassan, but wow, that is iconic, mate. That one from Hassan. Big up to him, man.
Yeah, no, that was class, man. That was class. And listen, if they would have got him, then you would never have seen Gravenberch doing what he's doing. So probably the best move. But yeah, man, all good here. Big up the chat. Big up you two as always. And yeah, man, let's rattle some Liverpool fans, innit? You know what I mean? Rejected for Arsenal, I believe, is the story here.
Well, I mean, I don't even think it's banter. I mean, he agreed to join them and then changed his mind. He spoke about, I mean, Sam's laughing, but he spoke about the mountains and the culture and the lifestyle. And look, let's be fair. You know, City were heavily linked to him 4 or 5 weeks ago. Real Madrid want him. Liverpool are still interested too. I mean, those stories, we've all read them. And Arsenal have gone and got the deal done. And look, there's some things to talk about Arsenal later where there is certainly some criticism. But Potsy, you must be buzzing with the fact that this man has essentially turned down, on paper, bigger football clubs, certainly teams that are doing better than you this year, to come and join the Arsenal in the summer.
Yeah, it's a shock. I can't lie. Not for those reasons only, but just because I didn't see this one coming at all. And it seems strange that we'd be linked with him now that it's a summer move. I think it's quite clever from the club as well. It's not a very good period of time at the moment at Arsenal, let me tell you that. All of a sudden, this comes out and then it's supposed to then be the cheery news that we all perhaps need. Look, let's take aside from what might be happening PR-wise and let's look at the reality of this. I think it's a really good signing. You know, me and LB were speaking offline before we went live, talking about what the sort of player he is. I can't sit there and lie to you. I haven't looked at Zubimendi for a long time because he's never been linked with Arsenal. He's been loosely linked with us, and then it was Liverpool and even Manchester City that I think were looking at him ahead of Arsenal. So I didn't quite look and delve into it as much. What I will say, as bizarre as looks like phase 5 for Arsenal, is sign the Real Sociedad trio in midfield, right? Odegaard was there a few years ago on loan. We've got Marino now. We've got Zubimendi. Look, I like the signing if it happens. I think it's good money 50 odd million is really good for a midfielder of that quality. He's a Spanish international. It's a player that a lot of clubs are looking at. My only one query and question mark here is that I know sounds very negative, but I would have concerns about it is what are we doing with Declan Rice then? And I don't mean now he leaves. What I mean by that is where's his position? Because I don't like him in the attacking 8 or in the box-to-box there. I like him as the destroyer in the 6, and that's exactly what Zubimendi is. So whether we're going to go with a double pivot now when we finally do get Zubimendi through the door, if this happens in the summer alongside Rice, or if Rice is going to be that kind of 8 and we go with a midfield trio of Zubimendi, Rice and Odegaard, which sounds great on paper, but the actual job that Rice is asked to do, I'm not too sure we utilise his attributes in the best way, and I think West Ham fans would probably agree with that. But look, it's a great signing. I would probably imagine that Jorginho and Partey would leave the club in the summer now. Their contracts are up. So we might actually need another midfielder in the summer as well. But that's certainly something that I look at and think, do you know what? That's actually a really good signing for Arsenal. And it does definitely look good that Manchester City and Liverpool have been sniffing around this guy and he's decided to come to Arsenal. Now, as much as we can look at Mikel Arteta and some of the people that have been dealing with transfers, you can actually say now, with no Edu, Arteta has a massive, massive part to play in transfers because we don't actually have a sporting director and we have apparently agreed fee or signing with Zubimendi. So that takes away the rumours of how pivotal Edu was. Well, he couldn't have been that pivotal if we can still make signings like that without him. So that's what I would like to add. And just lastly as well, look, I think that it is a situation that if you look at Mikel Arteta at the moment and have your doubts like I do at times, you can't say that he hasn't had a huge part to do with Zubimendi. From what we understand from Ornstein and co, who know much more than I do, Arteta was a huge factor into what made Zubimendi persuaded to go and choose Arsenal. So I suppose you have to look at Arteta and say all credit to him because it's a good signing if we pull it off in the summer, man.
Yeah, I think he's a mid player. I've watched him a lot. I would have took him at City. To be honest with you, I think he's a top player. 50 million's mint. I watched him last night because I was watching Real Sociedad versus Villarreal. Again, mint performance. If you go to my Twitter, I uploaded a clip of I don't know if he meant it, but basically the ball's in his own penalty area. The ball's coming out the sky. He's facing his own goal, like 5 yards away. There's a guy pressing him. And instead of just kicking out for a corner like a normal guy, he flicks the ball with his foot over the guy, like under mad pressure, and then just carries the ball out. Like it's actually legit unreal. Now, I don't know if he meant to do that. I don't know if he knew the guy was there, but like it'd be pretty weird if he didn't. Yeah, I think it's a great signing. To be honest with you, Matt, I have question marks. A bit like Popsy over. Well, I know why they're signing him because obviously Jorginho's probably going to leave, Partey's going to leave, right? So they need a midfielder. But where does this leave Declan Rice? I think that's a great question from Potsy, and I think it's a valid question about what system is he going to play. Will Rice be the guy who's expected to go forward and create and chip in with a few goals? Don't think that's really his game. I really think that Zubimendi's, from what I've seen, because I've watched quite a lot of him, I really think he's better off playing deep and sort of like be the deep lying playmaker, the deep lying sort of like he runs the game sort of thing and tight and knits it all together rather than the guy who really pushes forward and sort of like gets G&A and all that kind of shit. Does this mean that funds are available for other players? Because Arsenal need a left winger. They've got to upgrade that left wing. Martinelli's not it, yeah? They need a striker. They need someone to put the ball in the back of the net. Havertz is not it. They need proper Saka cover. Sterling's not it, and he's only on loan. Yeah, they probably need a centre-back, like proper centre-back. So I have some questions about the other sidings because, Arsenal, are they going to spend the money on what they need? But there's no doubt about it, man. This is a great signing for Arsenal. Fair play to them for getting across the line. But they need a lot more. They do need a lot more.
We do need a lot more. But what I will say is this is the type of signing, if it does go through, that would... It's not one that I look at and go, huh? What we want him for? He's rubbish. Whereas you can kind of have question marks over Sterling. You could have question marks over Marino either. Some would say you could have question marks over Calafiori. You could have definite question marks over Neto. So when I look at it right now, I think, yeah, this is not one that I think many fans will be like, don't know what we're getting him for. We got Partey and Jorginho. What the hell do we need him for? Well, it makes sense because Partey and Jorginho ain't going to be here forever and they're going to come in. What I will say lastly, boys, I don't know if anyone spoke about this. Could he do what he's done to Liverpool with Arsenal? Could someone else come in? Could Real Madrid come in?
I think for me,
You know what I mean?
I think obviously Liverpool, that boat sailed. You know what I mean? And you knew he regretted it because in September you've seen reports coming out that he regretted not joining Liverpool. And by the way, I actually called him out. And said, like, why the hell are you rejecting Liverpool? That is ridiculous. But then, like, City have been rumoured with him, but there's been no proper links, like, by any of our proper sources. But like, I wanted him at City. So I think the only other thing for him was, like, probably one of the giants of Spain, Atletico Madrid, Real Madrid, or Barcelona. Or someone else has to come in for him. And listen, Arsenal need a midfielder because Jorginho and Partey are leaving. So I think it's a good sign. Like I said, really good side. They've got to buy more players. They've got. This is where now, right, Arsenal are under mad pressure now. Yeah, everyone's calling this phase thing out. Yeah, everyone's saying nah. Yeah, this is what 5 years without a trophy. This is the worst FA Cup run Arsenal have ever been on. Yeah, fourth round, third round, whatever it is. Yeah, they have to get this next transfer right. They have to be aggressive. They've got to go out there. Yeah, they've got to go out there and go and buy Rafael from AC Milan. Yeah, go and get Osimhen or Gyökeres. Go and get a proper mint right winger. Yeah, go and strengthen. Go in there and spend 200 million quid. Oh, but we can't spend 200. Of course, you can spend 200 million quid, man. Yep. Yeah, go and do it and show everyone that you mean business.
I agree.
Do you know what I find interesting about it? I'm going to get to that bit in a moment. I want to go back to what you said about Declan Rice, and I'm intrigued to see what Arsenal do. When you look, though, a thing I always focus on when it comes to players is I like looking at their heat maps. Where do they touch the ball? And when you look at Zubimendi, he isn't just someone who sits deep. You can clearly see, but the direction of the arrow, he spends almost as much time in the opponent's half as he does his own, as an example. And what I think Arsenal could look to do, I still think another midfield player maybe needed, somebody who's a bit more attack-minded, like Odegaard is as well. But I think what you get is a very good amount of fluidity in terms of there can be times where Zubimendi's pushing further forward. There can be times where Declan Rice is doing it. And I think they can complement each other well in that way. And I think that you're not just buying someone whose only job he's good at is kind of sitting deep, winning the ball and then giving it to the more talented players. A little bit like Moreno. And I was defending him earlier because I think he's a good player at what he does. He just doesn't do the things that Arsenal fans want him to. Zubimendi's got the ability, the eye for a pass, well, so far in La Liga, and this is going to be an interesting one for haters of the Premier League, because normally when our clubs are linked to players in Portugal or Germany, they say, but that's an inferior league. A lot of them say that La Liga is a superior league. So if he's doing it in La Liga, by definition, on your logic, he should better do it in the Premier League. I think there's a lot of things that he could do here for Arsenal. But so I don't really worry. Again, I'm not worried in either way, but I don't think it will matter to Rice. I feel that you could actually play a double pivot of the two of them. They're very different midfield players in terms of how they operate on the ball. And I think they could complement each other well. But you were certainly right, LB. More has got to be done by Arsenal. Before we get to that, though, because I want to delve into a bit more detail on that. There's a few people. Zubimendi has come out and released a statement, and he has said, and I'll quote him, that Zubimendi has said, this is according to Sport. Don't you find it funny, though, how if you quote Sport, if you would have used Sport as a source from Spain to say, oh, look, Arsenal were going to get a player, United are going to get a player, everybody says, oh, it's false, it's bullshit, it's bogus. But because it's to debunk Arsenal's positive news, everyone's saying you should listen. But according to Sport, Zubimendi has said that he is tired of the consistent English rumours and he's completely focused on Real Sociedad. One source said Zubimendi is not committed to anyone. I'm just going to say this now. I don't think Ben Jacobs, Sammy McBell, Fabrizio, Ornstein would have gone in as far as they have done today unless this situation was very, very close to being done. 1 second, what's that?
Can I have a blanket, please?
You want one of my blankets? Yeah. You got dirt on your face. You got to go clean it.
I know.
There you go, gorgeous.
I would agree with that. Just quickly. I do think that those sort of names, if it was like a few reports from Spain, I'd be like, meh. But David Ornstein, Fabrizio Romano, Sammy Mokbel, I'm kind of thinking, yeah, they're the sort of people you want reporting on these stories. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I hear it, man. I hear it.
I agree. And he's also going to, sorry, I just want to finish what I was going to say. Sorry, LB. He's also going to say that at this point. The one thing I do think is true is that there is an element of PR here from Arsenal.
Oh, yeah, 100%. All clubs do it, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. They've got it done. They know the mood and the atmosphere is low. And there's a lot of talk, which we'll get onto, about an attacker coming in. And Ornstein has sort of pushed out the don't be surprised if something happens. But I almost think that Arsenal have come out and said, look, we're going to have to release something really positive to start getting fans excited again. Of course, Zubimendi, that's still got 4 months of the season left at Real Sociedad, is going to say, I'm completely focused on Real Sociedad. But I just trust the volume of news that's come out today, that it's anywhere between 90 to 95% true. So yeah, I wouldn't worry about what
the PR that the clubs do is hilarious, and all clubs do it. My club does it, Madrid does it. Like, soon as you go through a bad patch, Bombazzo club linked with this player, and then all the fans all of a sudden just stop talking about all the negative stuff, and it's like, oh, we're getting a player. Like, it's 101, man. It's insane, you know, the way these clubs operate, man. They are like PR machines. But listen, like I say, I think this is a good signing. They need more. Arsenal fans need to keep up the pressure on the club, yeah, because this is it now. Yeah, the pressure's on Arsenal to win something. You can't keep on not winning anything and just be happy clappers, innit? You've got to keep pressing the club. Yeah, Zubimendi in. Go and get a left winger, proper one. Go and get a striker, proper one. Go and get proper cover for Saka. Yeah, and then, you know, I think you need another creative midfield player as well, because I don't think Odegaard's enough. You know what I mean? So you need to spend a lot of money. I still think Arsenal need to spend about 250 million quid.
I hear you. And look, this is a good deal. It's 51 million pounds in the modern day. If Man United sell Garnacho, it looks like we're getting 60 to 70 million. This is cheap for a player of Zubimendi's level. In terms of the message, Potsy, does this tell you that come rain, come shine, trophy or no trophy, Mikel Arteta is your manager next year?
Who knew, Terry? Who knew? Huh? This is an absolute Mikel staying whether you like it or not type. And this is the thing that people have missed, I think. Oh my God, we might be signing Zubimendi. They've not thought, well, Mikel Arteta's staying then. And both are true. Well, we believe if we sign Zubimendi, that is. I can tell you what is true. Mikel Arteta will be here. And I've estimated he'll be here for another 3 years at least. I really believe that, no matter what happens. Even if you don't win anything, even if you don't win any trophy. Yeah, because it's the owners, bruv. It's not the fan base. And to be fair, it is the fan base as well, actually, because there's a certain section of the fan base that do their best to call it out. But unfortunately, we're in the minority. So people just believe this is a journey and that one day will come good. And he is going to do it. We just got to wait for him to do it. And I don't think they realise that time goes very, very quickly. And I will say this about Mikel Arteta and the Kroenkes together is that they do seem to have the most power at the club now. Josh Kroenke and Mikel Arteta are the two most powerful people at Arsenal. And I think that could be one of the reasons why Edu and Vinay have potentially gone and not been replaced so far, because together they're looking at what they want. Maybe they want Robert Alabi, who's the Real Sociedad sporting director. Maybe they want him in the summer, right? Because then they can go and get more Real Sociedad players. So I look at it right now and think there's potential for Mikel Arteta to stay long term. And I always believed that. I think the new contract that he is signing, I think will be done. I don't think it's going to be when he signs, if he signs it, it's going to be when he signs it. And that's going to say that he's the second highest paid manager in world football at £15 million a year. Only Pep, maybe Simeone, so he might be the third. Has he justified that? Like, real talk, Terry and LB. Has he justified being the third highest manager paid in the world? And this is why when Turkish says, "You're my shield, sign here," I believe him. Because he's saying, I'll give you 15 million a year, just keep that stum, and let's just do this together, and we'll go through what we need. And you'll be here as long as you get top four. I honestly would not surprise me if that's the way it is. You know, that's what I believe. And you know, look, I know we're coming on to the weekend's game, I'm sure, at some stage, which I won't go into yet, but whatever you ask me, I'm more happy to talk about. That just epitomizes the problems I've had at the club for a long time, which aren't just on Mikel Arteta. Before everyone starts having a go, it is definitely higher than that as well. And I think that he is one of the biggest problems. Josh Kroenke, Stan, I don't even look at Stan. He's silent. He's over in America. He doesn't even know what colour we play in, right? He's not bothered. It's just Josh's little project. And this is where I believe the problems lay. And it's like when something is going wrong at your business and you're in charge, they come for you, right? And say, look, these three individuals are not quite doing their job. You need to either clear them out or tell them they've got to improve. And that's what I would be hoping Josh Kroenke's doing. Now, there's a lot of rumours, Terry, that he's coming tomorrow night. Josh Kroenke's going to be here in the stadium. Everyone's saying, oh, my God. I think he knows what he's doing.
Is this the guy with the mural, by the way? What's all that about?
Yeah, no, he's on there.
Why have you got an owner painted on this? Where's
He's
he
on there,
painted?
mate. Yeah, on the tunnel on the way to the ground. He's on there. Win the Dog's on there. Kai Havertz, Waka
That's
Waka.
poor, that. I really don't think owners should be painted or like on anywhere.
Nah,
Regard like, that is really, really
And
poor.
look, people
Especially an
think
owner
that
that's
we're
not
having a
won
go at the
anything.
Cronkies for that. People think, oh, that's the Cronkies' fault. We're not blaming. Josh Kroenke hasn't rung up North Banksy and said, "Could you draw a picture of me on the sun?" That's not happened, right? But what it is it just shows how much PR, how much of the fan base are accepting of this PR or this regime, and I think that's what's frustrated. I am all for history. I'm all for. I don't care who's painted on the wall, to be quite honest with you. But actually, I feel like it should be deserved. And I don't know that Josh Kroenke deserves a painting on the wall before Rocky Rocastle. I don't think he deserves one before George Graham and some of the other, the absolute historic figures.
I agree with that. Can I ask a question because I don't quite understand? The murals that have gone up in that tunnel, are they permanent? Are they regularly changed? Are they painted over anybody? And I ask that because I've been to your stadium, and if I'm wrong about this, correct me, because I know a lot of people think I am, but I'm not a gooner. I've seen on the outside of your stadium, there's sort of the backs of shirts of certain legends and kind of pictures and posters of legends. But where these murals are they a permanent fixture? Are they painted Josh Kroenke over a Rocky Rocastle, or is it something that's just recently happened?
Yeah, so that's recent. It's very separate to what's outside the ground. So outside the ground, they've actual legends that are in history. So they've all won silverware, or they've got legends at the back of their shirts. So it'll be as far back as Charlie George, or we've got the Herbert Chapman statue. All of that stuff I totally with, and that's what I want to be seeing. But the actual mural paintings of this North Banksy is something that is not permanent, that can be painted over, and that one day might be updated or removed or renewed or reviewed. But because it's a new thing, well, he hasn't had the chance to do that yet. But it's just very weird selections of who he's put up there. The only person he's put up on the wall that's won something is Mohamed El Neni, if I'm honest with you. And he's gone now, right? So it's just very strange. I mean, Super Kevin Campbell's the only one that I love going past. That is up there. All of the others, it's just a little bit PR-y for my liking. Kai Havertz with his Labrador singing Waka Waka Air. You've got Josh Kroenke on there. You've got Nicholas Yeover on there, who's our set piece coach, of course. So it's a bit strange, really, for my liking. Some people have lost their heads over it. I'm a bit like,
I do get you. I've always kind of been someone that, again, it ain't my club, so maybe I feel this way. The PR element, it sounds to me more like they've painted on the walls, and you could argue Kevin Campbell's there because of obviously his recent very, very sad departure. But it almost feels like they're painting on those walls things that are kind of topical and trending in the moment. The dog, the set piece coach, and everything else, as opposed to we're painting a mural to honor you as a legend. And I'm not saying people are right or wrong to be upset about them or buzzing about them, but it sounds like they've just painted on the wall things that most Arsenal fans are typically tweeting about and talking about. Because no disrespect to any of the legends, like I definitely tweet more about what's going on about Man United today than I do about Sir Matt Busby. But that doesn't mean so in terms of in terms of what's going on right now in a contemporary sense, it matters more to fans in the here and now than history at some time. So I think there's a bit of that. But I also understand when you've gone out of, or I'm not going to say you're out of the League Cup yet, because I still think that's a little bit, something about that I don't like. Not that I'm defending Arsenal, just you're not officially out, but you're all but out and you go out of two competitions. I do understand the reaction to things. I really do. In terms of the game at the weekend, were you there? Did you go to the game? What was it like in terms of, because obviously you lost the game and you went out, we know all of that, but the big chances were missed. You probably were the better team in terms of opportunities created in the game. You should have won it with those chances, but you didn't. And you go out again the early stages. Obviously, there's a lot of pain in it. Man United are big rivals. We went down to 10 men. You played against us for an hour with 10 men. What went wrong and what was the reaction like actually being there?
Well, what went wrong is the fact that we haven't actually played much better than this in the last few weeks. That's what went wrong. What's going wrong at the moment is Mikel Arteta has got this in his mind that it's really, really important that we don't go out and be this free-flowing, attack-minded team. And I don't know where that style has gone or why it's gone. I think he's completely had PTSD over the last couple of years about how he lost, when most fans thought, you know what, you need a bit more, but go again. Like, go again with that style, but with a few more heads, he might be able to get across the line. But he's completely changed and restructured it now. Look, we had chances in the game. I've definitely won't deny that. But we fluffed our lines. And what was it like in the ground, Tel? Realization from a lot of this fan base. And what I mean by that is there was I mean, I don't know if you saw on TV how quiet it was as far as Arsenal fans were concerned. Realization that actually this manager might not get us across the line. Realization that we're not ready to win a trophy this season. Realization this squad might not be good enough. Realization with the injuries we've had and with the fact that we've got not much cover after that first 11 is probably not winning enough to be fighting on all four fronts. And realization that we're going to go 5 years without an FA Cup, 6 years, now, without an FA Cup. Probably that amount of time on top of what we've not done with the Carabao Cup now, which will be 31 years without a Carabao Cup or a League Cup. I think there's a lot of the fan base that started to have a question marks about the manager, not just the process and the ownership and the board and stuff that they already had doubts with. It was like, and do you know what the biggest thing was? And I hate to say this, and Arsenal fans are going to hate me for this, but there was no way we could blame the referee this time because he was awful. I mean,
if anything, he tried to win.
Exactly.
He tried to, bro.
So he gave us a penalty that wasn't a penalty. He sent off Dallo, which to be fair probably was a second yellow, but he did do it.
That's the only thing he got right on the day was that second yellow. Only thing.
Well, you could argue that he didn't actually touch him, so you could argue that it's not a yellow, but it's a reckless challenge, isn't it?
But still, either way, he's made that decision and gone with the Arsenal side, right? So we can't sit there now and say that the referee's given us problems. We can't sit there and say that it's blaming on offside goals that don't count. We can't say that it was actually a situation where we had went down to 10 men. So I will say this. I think that there's a lot of Arsenal fans that are starting to question now. They might all want him out and, oh, my God, this is done and season over and all that. There's some that are like that. But actually, there is gone from the minority thinking there's a problem to actually more of the majority starting to think, yeah, there might be problems here at Arsenal right now. And there might be some serious pressure on him, as there should be. And I think that the season could be, if we keep this squad right now, we don't do anything in January, I don't think we win anything. The only thing we've got a chance and glimmer of hope is that we can actually go on a bit of a run and hope that Liverpool can drop a couple of games and that we are flawless. And the only way we're going to be flawless is if we actually bring some reinforcements in. And if we don't do that, I think it's goodbye. I mean, I think it's goodbye anyway, but that's the only little glimmer of hope that we've got. And of course, the Champions League, which you don't have to be the best in Europe for, but our European heritage suggests that we ain't too good in that competition either. And that's the problem I've got, I think, with Mikel Arteta, is his cup record is abysmal. In 18 attempts, he's got 1 over the line. That's poor for a 5-year period when you've had everything that he spent and the record that he's got. Because I don't know about you two, lads. I actually think Arsenal are quite a good team. I actually think we've got quite a good squad. I don't think it's quite ready. It might not be good enough to win the league, just lastly, but I think it's definitely good enough for now to win a trophy. And that's my biggest concern.
I've noticed that as well. I've seen people like starting, not necessarily, like you say, not necessarily Arteta out, but like some Arsenal fans who have been a big backer of him. Not switch sides to Arteta out, but just saying, hang on a minute. Yeah, I mean, how long is this really going to take? It's probably going to be another season this year without a trophy. Probably. You could win the Champions League and you could win the Premier League. Unlikely, in my opinion. So that's another year without silverware. How much money are you going to be spending in the summer? If we don't win anything next year, how long does this game go on for before people stop and go, hang on a minute? Yeah, I'm willing to back this manager and I backed him for a long time, but there's got to be a cut-off point. There has to be. You can't just carry on year after year after year backing a manager if he doesn't win you anything. At some point, you've got to go. And you don't have to get toxic with it. You don't have to be like, get him out of it. You can be like, listen, happy for what he's done. Thank you for the couple of mint title races. We almost did it. Thanks for the FA Cup. Thanks for getting us challenge again. However, I think that you've taken us as far as possible. I think it's time for a change. You don't have to get toxic with it. But for me, I really think that if he doesn't win anything this year, I think that I'd be in Potts' camp where, like, I'd get rid of him and get a new manager. I think he's had ample opportunity. And the fact that he can't even get a domestic cup over the line is really, really poor. Yeah, I thought Arsenal were really, really poor. They looked out of ideas. It was just constantly just whacking balls into the box from crosses. Maguire was just eating them up easy every single time the ball came in the box. Maguire was like buzzing. There's me. Do you know what I mean? He probably loved it because everyone's talking about Maguire now. Bro, everyone's talking about Maguire now, isn't it? So he's probably loving it. I just think I looked at a team in that game against United that just looked out of ideas. Yeah, Couldn't change it with any subs. Any subs that happened didn't change the way they played. And you just didn't, you still felt like they were threat on corners. Yeah, because they had super at that. But other than that, you really didn't look at them and saying they're going to score from open play here. So I think that's a real problem. I think part of the problem, again, comes back to the transfer window. It was a really poor transfer window for Arsenal. They needed a creative midfielder, yeah, because they've only got Odegaard, who's not a great creative player anyway. Look at his stats. They needed proper Saka backup, yeah, which they've not got. Sterling was okay, but he's not been trusted. They didn't get that. They need to upgrade that left wing position. And no Arsenal fans love Martinelli. He's not good enough to be starting week in, week out. I think there's question marks over Trossard, so you need a new left winger. I'd look at someone like Rafael, someone like that, someone who's pacey, strong, can take the game to the opposition. Yeah, I think there's a lot of question marks, and I think that it's weird because you might have looked at it and think at the start of the season, they probably needed a couple of players. I'm looking at it now thinking they might need 5 or 6 new players here, top quality players. They've gone backwards. They've gone backwards on the pitch. The squad's going backwards. People are asking questions about Odegaard now, rightly so, because he dropped a stinker. Yeah, Rice, I think he looks lost on the pitch. Not saying he's a bad player. I just think he looks lost. I don't know what he's meant to be doing on the football pitch when I see him. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of question marks. And for me, I think if they don't win anything this year, if I was an Arsenal fan, I think I'd be asking for him to leave.
Listen, I hear what you're both saying. I said at the start of last season. I've said it this campaign. I was asked a question earlier on today on a different stream. Would I keep him this long at Manchester United? And my first response was no, and then I changed it to, well, he would probably still be there. In the sense of, I was thinking like it was the end of the season when I first said no. The first 3 years, he was helping the club build a team, build a squad, build a culture that could compete for league titles. That, for me, I would ring fence that. Your manager, my manager, anyone's manager, he did a very good job in getting you to that point. This season and last season, it's about assessing what he wins now. And one thing I'm starting to notice is I believe in the mentality. I believe the mentality in sport is the most important thing to focus on at the elite end of the spectrum. I think it separates. It's what separates those 4 losses that Man United had over the Christmas period from the last 2 weekends, where we've got good results and good performances away at better teams. There was a mentality shift, and a lot of that was generated through actually having a week in training and learning. But we went into those games and we worked harder. We didn't give up, and I saw a difference. I'm starting to wonder whether or not the more money that gets spent, the better the squad gets on paper, the more pressure on Arteta, the more pressure even on the players. Oh, we've got to win now, though. So you bring Zubimendi in. You sign Sesko or Gyökeres this month. You bring in Zubimendi in the summer, and then another creative midfield player. Don't matter who. You go and get Havertz, right? I know you probably won't get him, but just use him as the example. Can that additional pressure then be handled and getting over the line? It's why I've never called someone like Pep a checkbook manager. I use in the same logic when it comes to, Fergie always had money to spend. Do you understand the pressure that comes with being the favorite because you've had that money spent? People think it's easy. It isn't. The level of scrutiny you get when you've had money spent is, if Slot doesn't win the league this year, this is what the media is going to say. Yeah, but they didn't spend any money on him, did they? He'll be let off the hook. If they drop 300 million this summer, different narrative. The pressure is higher. And I think that there is definitely some questions to ask of Mikel Arteta. There's no doubt about it. I feel, though, when looking at Arsenal fans, a lot of it is about, I just really want to win the debate. Instead of Gunners during the rebuild process stating he's the right person for now, I agree he may not be the right person to get, and I'm talking like I'm an Arsenal fan here, to get us over the line, but I think we need him at this point. And that could have been 2021, you were saying this, right? Now you could get to a point and say, do you know what? He's taken this as far as he can. Let's move on. But I think there are 2 sets of Arsenal fans, very noisy, that are stuck in like an ideological battle. Some that never wanted him, and some that have said he'll win us a lot and could become a great at the football club. And I almost feel like they're really noisy. At 70% of the fan base is in the middle saying, I love what he's done for us. I've enjoyed the last few years, but I really want to start winning. Maybe he's got to move on. But you've got 2 groups. Some that when a bad result or 2 happens, they're on it. They're noisy. Look, it's their opinion. They're entitled to it. I'm not saying they shouldn't have it. And then if you win your next 2 games and Liverpool drop points tonight, it'll be a noise in the other direction. Don't ever question Mikel Arteta, we told you not to. Well, I sometimes feel like the discourse between fans, sometimes it's not about what's best for Arsenal. It's what I want to happen so I can say I was right. And I feel that fan conversations are so important for our football clubs, but not if they're self-serving, not if they're about you. It's got to be about the club. And I feel like it's right for Arsenal fans to question what he has done, but you can do that without disrespecting the fact that he's helped you get to this point where you're actually disappointed to not be winning league titles again, because you weren't there for a long time, Arsenal. If we're being honest, you had no hope of being in title races for many, many years. Yes, you were getting knocked out of competitions and stuff, but I don't think the disappointment was like now. You know, maybe towards the end of Wenger's reign, but that was because you knew you needed something new and it wasn't coming. So, and I think a lot of Arsenal fans don't want it to become like that for Mikel Arteta. You don't want it to become largely toxic. And I think the end of this season is so important for him and your team. And of course, spending money. I've seen some Arsenal fans say, I don't want him to get any more money. Well, you shouldn't. You should still sign good quality players. Zubimendi is going to work, whether it's Mikel Arteta or another manager. You should still be demanding.
That's what
money.
I don't get. I wouldn't give him any more money. Well, we're stuck then. Well, we're not going to get anyone then. Like,
Yeah, what do you do?
What happens? I don't get that one. Look,
No,
I understand that
I
people
agree.
might not want Mikel Arteta long term. I understand that. I can understand and have sympathy for that. What I don't understand is there's a fan base. Arsenal have always had a fan base that can't unite. We're always going to have difference of opinions. The problem with Arsenal is it just seems more than other fan bases, although you have it in your other fan bases as well. It just seems more toxic and out there and all over social media than any other club. I can't understand. You know, as someone who does a lot of content creating now, I look at the side of things, how things have changed over the years, and I think, wow, the amount of fingers that are pointing towards the direction of fans or AFTV are now being blamed again. They're the problem. I'll tell you what, that Turkish fella, he's an issue. That Turkish fella's an issue. What? Because we're not winning. The Turkish problem. I
thought everything he said was facts. I thought everything he said was facts.
Bro.
I agree with a lot of what he said, and I thought that the level of abuse I've seen him get is ridiculous. Equally, in the other direction, I don't think someone like Babs, who rates the manager, is equally a problem. I don't think that some people...
There's others out there. Yeah.
I feel like the biggest thing that needs to happen, the only time I think is a problem is if people are talking in a self-serving way. I want X to happen so I can say I'm right. Because I do think if fans put the right energy towards their club to make changes, I think clubs listen. And if enough people are thinking and saying it, there's a big chance they're right. There's a big chance they're correct and right. And I don't think Arsenal have an awful squad and are an awful team. As much as it's toxic right now, you are second in the league and third, I think, in the Champions League. I don't think a bad team sits there. However, that doesn't mean that criticism can't be applied, constructive criticism. But when it gets down the line of messaging a pregnant woman to say you wanted to have a miscarriage or you're going to come to the house and slaughter a baby, that stems from these two uber polarized groups who I don't think represent the vast majority of Arsenal fans. And I think that's where, as a club, you need to be. It's like this. I saw the great argument on AFTV. Have you given up? Yes. Well, don't come to the game. Don't tell me I can't come to games. And I'm sitting there listening to it, and I wanted to scream. So I know you're missing each other's points here. And an Arsenal fan has every right to say I've lost faith in this. I don't think it's going to work. Equally, I feel that if you're going to the games and you're not going to sing and show passion, you're not going to help. Like, you should be doing everything you can to help disprove.
No, but I know, because I saw that interview, and I think like the guy's basically just saying, I don't think we're winning fuck all this season. He's not. That's it. He's still going to turn up. He's still going to turn up to his to the game and watch the team if he's got a season ticket. I assume he had a season ticket by what he was saying. Yeah. The guy's like, well, why are you turning up then? Says, what sort of question's that? So if you're mid-table, if you're a Brighton fan stuck in mid-table, they're not going to win anything this year. They just not turn up. Every Brighton fan's probably sat there thinking,
but they haven't lost. But they haven't lost faith, though. I hear your point. I'm not saying you shouldn't go. I'm simply stating, I've heard a few Arsenal fans say this. There was a guy called into TalkSport speaking about the atmospheres being low and people. He's trying to encourage people around him to sing, and they're saying, I just don't believe in it anymore. I don't think it's going to work. That's where I go, well, it's definitely not going to work if you guys stop singing and encouraging them. I know it's hard. It's a little bit chicken and egg, but I only look at this from my point of view and perspective. I feel like I hope they don't do this because I don't want Arsenal to be successful. But I feel if Arsenal fans keep having flat atmospheres at the ground, you are more likely to see no trophies this season.
No, but I understand what you're saying. But at the same time, it's up to the players sometimes to get the fans going.
No, I agree with that too.
It's not just always up to the fans. Like, it's not always like the fans.
Yeah.
It's the fans' job. Hang on a minute. The fans are paying out their ass to turn up to the game in the first place. Arsenal fans are playing probably the highest amount of money in the country, and they play probably some of the worst football in the Premier League at the moment. They don't look like they're going to score a goal from open play. They're trying. They're also in this situation where a lot of them are coming to the realization that maybe this process that we've been on isn't actually going to yield the results that we want, i.e., trophies. And there's a negative feeling around. Saka's just got injured. Saka just got injured for 3 months. That's negative. There's a lot of negativity. On top of that, you've got Arteta coming out in press conferences, basically saying we're not going to sign anyone. We're looking at in-house solutions. You've got Havertz missing chances from 3 yards. I'm sorry, right? I get that sometimes it's up to the fans. Sometimes the fans have to make the noise. But I look at Arsenal, and I completely understand why their fans are down. I understand why the atmosphere might be flat, because sometimes it's up to the players who get paid a lot of money to get the fans off the seats. And I guarantee you, and listen, I'm not an Arsenal fan. I guarantee you, if Arsenal put in a performance tomorrow against Spurs, or tonight or whatever it is, the fans in the next game, bang, they'll be right up for it. It's up to the players, man. The fans can't always carry the players.
I listen. I totally see that perspective and point of view. I suppose my listen. We all have a different outlook on life as well, and I'm someone that's always, no matter what I truly feel inside, I always encourage people to do better. I used to sit on the side coaching when I was part of Team GB, and I'd have a fighter on the mats, and I knew he wasn't going to win. I knew he wasn't going to. You could just tell. But I would still give him every bit of encouragement, still tell him he's going to win, still tell him he's doing the right things, because that's my approach. Equally, as a United fan, the amount of games I went to where it was very quiet and very and we're under Fergie playing good football, right? And it was quiet. And I'd sit there and I'd be in the Stretford. This is before I was in the Stretford end. It took me years to get one in the Stretford end. And I'd be sitting there going, come on, guys, let's encourage the team a little bit. Then we concede, and then suddenly we start encouraging the team, and we see the team's levels go up. So I suppose I'm looking at this from my experiences and my perspective. And I would used to sit in Old Trafford and think, if we had that same noise we had 2 weeks ago when Liverpool turned up, we ain't going to sit here flat for half an hour. Well, we're not going to find it difficult. And I've always just felt, sing for 90 minutes, home or away, win, lose or draw. I just always believe in doing that, irrespective of how good or bad my team is. However, I do hear your point. And if you feel a certain way, it's difficult. But I think the worst thing Arsenal fans can do now is concede defeat this season. I think it gives your players an out. I think it gives your manager an excuse. You should be. I'm just seeing a lot of talk. It's done now. It doesn't matter. It's all finished. It's all over. I don't necessarily think it is. I wouldn't want that message going into that dressing room in any capacity whatsoever. But look, Gooners, in the comment section, let us know what you think. We're going to go to some of your comments here to see what you think and feel. Oh, there's an update here. Kvaratskhelia to Paris Saint-Germain. Here we go.
Great signing, man.
Great
Why
signing,
Arsenal not on that one then?
Should be. Clearly
Not
don't
even
want
that
it.
expensive. I'm sure it's like 60 million euros.
63. What a steal. 63 million. We paid 65 for Havertz. Steal.
Why are Arsenal not good? They need a left winger. Go and get him, man.
Don't get it.
He's
Don't
quality.
get it. Well, to go PSG, apparently.
Pav here says, I'm happy that we've signed Zubi, but I still need signings this window. We need a new striker and an attacking winger minimum. There's talk of strikers. Benjamin Sesko's name has come up again. Would you be happy with that, Potsy, if Sesko was to come in from Leipzig?
I can't say that I've watched a lot of him, but the little I've seen of him, it hasn't really impressed me. He looks a bit raw. Looks like he's going to be ready in a few years. I'd rather have someone who's ready now. I'd rather go and get an Isak or a Gyökeres or an Osimhen, someone I know that can score goals. Sesko hasn't even been the top scorer for Leipzig, if I'm honest with you. I don't know that it's much of an upgrade on Jesus or Havertz, to be fair, but I think that a lot of Arsenal fans would like that. I saw rumours today of Vlahovic as well. I don't know how true those rumours are. Obviously, Colin Mawani being linked with a move out of PSG to Juventus, and then obviously that would then potentially pave the way for Vlahovic. David Ornstein has come out and said that Arsenal potentially looking at a loan overseas. Could that be Vlahovic, loan with an obligation to buy? I don't know. I think we're all guessing, if I'm honest with you at the moment. All I know is Arsenal need a forward, mate. That's all I know. And I don't know who it's going to be. If we don't get that forward, we've got Sterling, who has been injury prone. We've got Waneri out, Saka out, and that leaves us with Havertz and Trossard and Martinelli because, of course, Jesus has done his ACL. And I wanted to just actually run something by you, lads. Actually,
Is that official? Yeah. Is that official,
Yeah.
Potter?
What
Pretty
is?
much.
The ACL, is that like official? Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I think he's just got see his days out. If I'm honest, Jesus, he's finished in Crocs, really, isn't he? But out of the 4 signings that Arsenal have signed this summer transfer window, Neto hasn't played a game in 31. To be fair, you probably wouldn't expect him to play many because he's
Cup-tied,
a backup goalkeeper and he was cup-tied in the Carabao Cup. He didn't play in the FA Cup, right?
Right.
Sterling has started 5 games in 31 games. Marino has only started 12 and Calafiori has only started 12. So that's how much of an impact our summer has had, which is nothing, no impact whatsoever. So I think that is why I don't know why people seem to believe that the summer window was harsh when we were all saying it was a 4 or a 5. And some people are now saying it's a 2 or a 3. Others were going, it's a 7, it's an 8. Look at what Sterling can do. We all know Sterling. He's a genius. He's been amazing.
Do you think it's whenever this transfer window ends, it's how many times we crown West Ham were crowned as one of the winners with the players they bought on paper, and it never came to fruition. Because if Calafiori had been fit all year, and if Sterling did deliver what he'd done before at, say, City, it maybe would feel a little bit different for you. But as you say, most of those guys have had injury problems, as an example, and your team's suffering. So in reality, it's gone from, let's just say people thought it was a 7. Let's give it a conservative 7 out of 10. In reality, it's been a lot worse than that because they haven't been fit. They haven't been available. They haven't had the impact on the pitch. Some people opinions were right that this is terrible. They're not going to have the impact. Absolutely. I also remember a few years ago when you guys signed the sort of Ramsdales and the Tomiyasus, and I remember a lot of the TPFs, the toxic positivity fans going, this was awful. And then 6 weeks later, it's like, wow, look at what we've signed. It can go either way from the summer. I think what's really stood out to me this week, if we just, everything else has gone the same so far this season. What was missing in the summer was a goal scorer. If you had Alexander Isak, if you had Victor Gyökeres, and let's just play a game that they're performing at their current level. If Isak was at Arsenal, do you think Arsenal will be top of the league and still in the cup competitions?
I think we'd be in the cup competitions, and I think that we'd have a great chance of being close, if not ahead of Liverpool, yeah. Because we have had chances this season that Havertz has fluffed, that Trossard has fluffed, that Martinelli has fluffed, that Sterling has fluffed, Jesus has fluffed. And I think that if you've got an absolute killer up there that isn't going to do that, like we saw against Arsenal, Newcastle, they didn't have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 chances. They had 3 and they scored 2 goals. That is what the difference is. They've got killers up top. Like, Anthony Gordon's another one. He'd walk into our first team at the moment. People might not want him, but he would definitely get ahead of Martinelli and Trossard. Isak would start. So that's where I'm at with it, and that's why it does frustrate me, just going back to LB's point, when the players are doing this, get up, and the manager's doing this, get up, because we're seeing absolute trash at the moment, and we're seeing real bad sort of, and now we're out the cups, by the way. You know what their reward will be? Dubai.
Yeah, well, they did well last year. Listen, the only reason I asked that question is if you're someone that's teetering on the idea of saying goodbye to the manager, it's fair. But if you feel that, and this is I've seen a lot of people angry over the weekend, and it's like, if we'd have signed a striker, we'd be doing this. I feel like if you're one player away from it working, then I don't see the necessity to rip it all apart. I see it being more sensible to add that striker. Now, if you think there's more than just that as a problem, if you're like, well, it doesn't matter. If Isak was here, we'd still be 6 points off top. We'd still be out the cups. Then absolutely fair. Some people 1 minute are going, if we just had that Bagsman, we'd be top of the league. The next breath, we've still got to get rid of the manager, though. That doesn't compute for me, because Sam is not an Arsenal fan, but he tripped himself up last week. Keeps saying Arsenal were the favourites to win the league, but then did a show to cook Arsenal saying they should be sacking the manager today. I said, well, that doesn't make sense for Sam. How can they be the favourites to win the league, but you think they've got to sack their manager? Those two things, again, they for me, they're a contradiction in each other. And I'm just intrigued to see the people's views on that, because I feel like if they had an Isak, if they had a Gyökeres, you'd have won the game at the weekend. Those players aren't missing those chances. The chances against Newcastle, look, Newcastle did very well. But I'm sitting there, because the debate we had was, why should Isak pick Arsenal over Newcastle? And I'm like, well, because if he switched teams at the beginning of the season, he'd be in a team that's top of the league and heading towards the final of the Carabao Cup if he'd have picked Arsenal and not stayed there. And I just feel, I kind of get, I'm judging Arteta based on winning trophies. I also do get why the Arsenal board might just say, let's give him Zubimendi, let's give him a top striker, let's give him another attacking midfield player and give him a go because you are so close. Unless you lost the dressing room or something.
There's a few things there. I think Kai Havertz is our number 9 right now, and that's the difference. They've got Isak, we've got Havertz. That's why Newcastle are essentially through and we're out, right? Kai Havertz missed from a yard against you guys and missed from 2 yards of a header against Newcastle. Isak buries both of them, and it might be a different story, right? Now, when I look at that, I think whose fault is it that we've got Havertz up front? Mikel Arteta is the manager who bought this player for £65 million and said, I want you to be my number 9. And I would argue as well at the moment, although they might score some, I don't think they'd score anywhere near as much as they would perhaps in, say, Liverpool side, Isak, because the way that we're playing football is actually not that free-flowing for Isak to actually deliver. So I do think that he would score goals still because I think he's that good. And I think Gyökeres is the same. But I think there's a problem there with that. The other thing you've got is I don't think we are just the final striker away from being this elite team. I think there is more problems than that. Because if you go through where we're at right now, I think we're happy with the goalkeeper in the first team. I think we're happy with Timber and White at right back. And I think we've got Gabriel and Saliba as one of the best partnerships there. LB's made it right that we haven't got much cover after that. But at left back, we're still not quite sure who it is. Is it Calafiori, who looks like a centre-back to me? Is it a Zinchenko? No. Is it a Tomiyasu? Not really. Definitely not a Kieran Tierney. Lewis Skelly has actually been our best left-back this season, if you're going to be really petty about it.
Question on him. Is he a midfielder by trade?
He is a midfielder.
He is, right,
he is a midfielder. Yeah, he is a midfielder. And do you know what? He's been one of the shining lights this season for me, actually. He's been one of the positives coming through because he's been really good. And I didn't expect him to play there, but he's really, really shone there. You move into midfield, you've got Rice and potentially Zubimendi coming in the 6, but you're still not quite sure what's happening in the 8. Is Rice going to be the 8? Is that good enough? You still don't really have cover for Odegaard unless you believe Ethan is that guy now. You've still not got cover for Saka because Sterling won't stay. People are telling me we need a left winger as well as a striker. So that's 6 players. So we're still, and I think we do need to keep evolving because you're going to have to sell players. I don't think there's futures of Zinchenko, Tomiyasu, Kivior, potentially Jorginho and Partey, Sterling, Jesus. These guys might all have to go.
Real Madrid as well, isn't it?
Well, that's another one, right?
Well, the thing is, yeah, you might laugh, yeah, but he's only got 2 years left on his contract.
Well, I'm laughing because I kind of believe he's going to go there one day. I hope it's not soon, but I believe he's going to go there. We've seen this before, haven't we? And this is my danger when I said, don't start a youth project. They all end up leaving. And people said, how do you know that? Well, I've got evidence of it. We've already done 2. They've all left. Every single one went. Fabregas went. Van Persie went. Sagna, Clichy, Adebayor, Toure. They all went to Man City. Then, of course, you've got Alexis Sanchez swapping to go to you guys at Manchester United. This has all been done before. And then you look at the next youth project with Jack Wilshere and Aaron Ramsey and Oxlade-Chamberlain, Theo Walcott. We had the other 2 lads at the back, Jenkinson and Gibbs at the time, who were part of this youth project. They didn't do anything. So we have done this before. And what my biggest kind of worry, I suppose, now is that Saka, Odegaard, Saliba, Gabriel, these guys will do the same one day because that will happen if we continue to win nothing. So that's why we've got to put pressure on it, man. Big time. So that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at with Arsenal. But
to answer Terry's question, though, about if they're only a couple of players away, I'd go with that if he'd won some trophies, i.e. Carabao Cups, because the squad that he's had has been capable of doing that. And he can't even get past the 4th round of the FA Cup, this guy.
Crazy.
You know, if he would have won a couple of cups, and by the way, yeah, I've said this for years, and I said, I think he's proper Mr. Trick in not going strong for these domestic cups. Because I think
I agree with that. I agree with that, yeah.
You're basically saying, well, if they're only a couple of players away, why not just give him another chat? Why? Because there's no evidence that even with those players that he'll get them across the line. That'll be the answer to it. If he would have won an FA Cup or a Carabao Cup, along the way, a couple of them just spread out, you might go, you know what? Yeah, he's got a proven track record that this guy can win. So if we get him the players that we think we need to get him across the line, then see what he does. But there's not. It's just another complete gamble. So that'd be my response to that.
Yeah, listen, I think that holds a lot of water. I think it really does. And there are a lot of sensible conversations going on about Mikel Arteta and the future of Arsenal. The one thing that I will stand firm on is that they have to keep investing and buying players. Even if they'd won all these trophies, they still have to keep fucking spending and investing, because at the end of the day, you have to, and that's something
look at
that
us.
Arsenal should always be pushing for.
Bro, we stopped
Exactly.
investing this summer. We fell off. You got to continue to
No,
invest every summer. Spend. If you don't, you'll fall off, and that's what's happened to us.
I agree completely. A few super chats here, and then obviously we've got the North London derby to talk about. I want to touch very quickly on City signings. You made some, and big game tonight as well that I want to get your opinions on. Viewers, if you haven't hit the like button yet, please get that done. The Gooner here says, Hussam thinks avoiding to confirm Liverpool are favourites would somehow spare him from the bottle jobs banter if they don't win it. Yeah,
they're all doing it.
Yeah, you're absolutely spot on. Hussam, like I call him, he's just being a pussy in a tree. It's as simple as that. I am not sure if of this, but I think Timber was subbed off. Yeah, I've heard he's okay though. I've heard he's
That's
okay.
true. I don't know. I haven't heard anything actually, but I hope he's okay. If it is that he's out, we'll have to play a party there.
I like Timber. I think he's a good player.
Yeah, he's very, very good. Very, very good. Aren't most top strikers except Osimhen? No, there's no more cup tying in Champions League football, so you've not got to worry about that whatsoever. Dan, years ago, Jack Wilshere's child was also being threatened. Disgusting.
Yeah, I must just say on this, I think it's absolutely criminal that this is still allowed, by the way. I think it's absolutely madness that anyone can just pretend to be who they want and abuse anybody in that way. If you did that in the street, you'd be in a cell overnight and you'd be charged and you'd be put in front of the courts. But you can do it online and no one will know who you are. They've got to change that, Tell. They've got to bring something in like that you've got to have details to sign up, or you've got to have passport details to use social media. That's got to come in for me, because this is just vile what we get. I mean, we get some bad stuff, but my God, that is horrendous. So have that happen to an innocent woman who's sitting there, doesn't probably even know what's going on, and you've got that because a fella has missed a couple of chances for Arsenal. Man, these people are scumbags, man.
No, I agree 100%. Thank you, Hanksy, for praising the show, and big up to the boys. Heavily linked FC at it again. Well, I'd say the Zubimendi links are a bit more than heavily linked, but fair enough. Top 4 Champions League knockout stages again this year. Probably another cheap transfer window. Majority of fans not turned on Arteta yet. Why would they sack him? A manager with a reputation would demand more.
Well, look, Mikel Arteta said it on the speakers at the last game of last season, do not be satisfied with second. So what do we do when we come fourth or third, or if we come second again then? What happens if we don't win a trophy? That's what my question would be.
Stop being negative. And then you'll be like, hang on a minute.
I'll tell him to stop being toxic.
Told me not to be happy. Yeah. Bro, you know what you should do, yeah? You should get it quoted and put it on the background. Do not be happy with second. So whenever anyone gives you stick, just say, well, he told me not to be happy with second. So
he told me not to be satisfied with second. And I thought it was very toxic and negative with the manager. And he needs to go and support Tottenham.
That's funny. The list of players rejecting Liverpool grows.
Yeah, that is a madness, actually. All these players are rejecting Liverpool. I think it's their owners, man. I think they might have the worst owners in the league. I'll be real.
Wow,
I genuinely do, man.
I'm gonna raise you the Glazers, but yeah,
I know you will. I know you will. But I think Liverpool, I think FSG might be the worst owners in the division.
In fairness, with the Zubimendi one though, I don't think that's the owners. He has just changed his mind. He has just changed his mind and then regretted it. But yeah,
why do you think he has though? I still don't get why he did that. Because it's not like Real Sociedad are balling out somewhere. It's like, I'll stay here, it's better. Like, do you really believe it's like, I fancy me tapas over here in the sun? Do you genuinely believe that?
Yeah, true,
bro. He obviously sat there and gone, you know what? I love it here. Yeah, I love it as a Real Sociedad. Yeah, and then within a month, he sees Liverpool are flying, top of the league. Everyone's praising him. Slot is amazing. Salah this, blah, blah, blah. Everyone's talking about Liverpool. Meanwhile, he's sat in mid-table. And he probably thinks to himself, hang on a minute. I do love Sociedad. I do love this region, but surely there's more to this. And he's probably just regretted it, man. I said, bro, this guy, when soon he rejected Liverpool, man, I thought, what is he doing? You know what I mean? So, yeah, it's no surprise to me that he's going to leave 6 more months. And, he'll join Arsenal, isn't it? So, see what happens, man.
One man's loss is another man's gain, as they say. And the Gooners have picked him up. Zubi is PR because Arsenal are getting no one in January. That would be
could be
frustrating.
true.
That would be frustrating, wouldn't it? If you get the Zubimendi deal done, but then sign no one else.
Incredibly frustrating, you know. And I keep on my show, making everyone laugh by singing that Will Smith song, "Summertime," because that's what's happening. Everything's happening in the summertime, mate. Because every time I see us linked with someone, it's for the summer. Nico Williams in the summer, Supermendi in the summer, Isak in the summer. Well, it's going to be a good summer then, because when we get to the summer, if we haven't got them free, I'm going to be very depressed. So look, I honestly believe if we do not do any business in January, it is a disgrace. I'll say that.
By the way, if you're an Arsenal fan and you say that it's acceptable to not sign anyone in January, I really think that like you need to look yourself in the mirror and have a word. No, because like
Well, they'll be in the chat here. Will be. You see them now. They're all
I'll
getting
be real,
excited.
yeah. No, because I know you get a lot of shit, yeah, for being like negative or whatever. But I know these Arsenal fans who want to be positive, and that's fine. But if your club doesn't buy anybody in January, that is unacceptable, man. When Saka's out for 3 months and you're just going to accept, you're just going to sit there and go, "Oh, it's fine." How can you sit there and say it's fine? Come on, man. You're meant to be going for a title. You're meant to go for Champions League. Try and save your season. You got Saka out for 3 months and you're just going to sit there. It's fine. Like, come on, man. For me, if you're an Arsenal fan and you're just going, it's fine if you don't sign anyone. I just don't know, man. I don't know what you're in the game for, innit? What you supporting the team for?
AMT here says that if Zubimendi comes to Arsenal, I think he means I want a better coach to take over.
Well, look, I mean, Mikel Arteta is apparently the reason Zubimendi's chosen Arsenal. So we're not going to get a better coach. We're not going to get a different coach. We're going to have Mikel Arteta here. And this is the thing I've said for quite some time now about this Arteta in, Arteta out. It doesn't matter what we want. The owners have made their mind up. He is here for a 3-year period at least. And that's why we've got to accept it and now move on. And it's hard for some people that want him gone and I've question marked it. But that's where I'm at. Sorry.
Is he? I didn't realize. Sorry, no. Is Arteta? I just searched. Is Arteta? I didn't realize Arteta is. I'm going to say the word wrong. Is it Basque? Is he from the same region of Spain?
Basque region.
Basque.
Yes,
That's correct. Yeah.
Ah.
Apparently so. Yeah.
Interesting, Smithers. Yeah.
I think they've had a chat, and I think he likes the chat from what we hear. So.
Moreno and Zubimendi are close. Arteta is Spanish. I also
there we go.
You mentioned Odegaard Eva. Do you know when those three were all playing together at Sociedad? Do you know who the striker was?
Alexander Isak.
Yeah.
It's pretty mad, isn't it? So basically, 6 years into the phase process, the plan was to just buy Sociedad's midfield and attack.
Hang on. It would have been cheaper to just buy Real Sociedad.
Yeah, it probably would have been.
Yeah, it's interesting because Ten Hag tried to do something similar by bringing back a lot of, I know it was his old players and Arteta didn't manage them, but he tried trying to reconstruct his old Ajax team in many ways and didn't go so well. I'm not saying this won't work. It's interesting to have that as your core four. I wonder how many people like 6 years ago, Arsenal fans would have gone, yeah, that four I want. I wonder. It's a football funny old game. Thank you, Ronan. I appreciate that. Obviously, a big game tomorrow night for you, Potsy. It feels very Arsenal-centric on the show today, but it's difficult with all the news that's going on. North London derby. Last night on the terrace, Henry Wright said, "We smell blood. We're coming to the Emirates and we're coming for you." Do you feel like you're sort of bleeding in the ocean with sharks surrounding you playing Spurs right now?
Well, I mean, Tottenham fans do this every single time we play them. I mean, the combined 11s will come out soon, and there'll be Van der Ven ahead of Saliba and Romero ahead of Gabriel, and Porro's better than Timber and White put together, bruv, and all this rubbish. We'll have that. That'll happen. We just have to deal with that. We dealt with it in September, October, and I said it would happen in the new year. But I genuinely do have concerns tomorrow night for how we're playing. And normally I'd have confidence going into this derby because I believe genuinely with a better team. Now, to put it into context of how bad Tottenham Hotspur are right now, I do a show called This Is London, and all of us have had like times we've been in the mud and we've been up and down, up and down. One of the people that has been in the mud for the majority of the season is D, Palace fan, who you know, right? Now, I will say, if we do beat Tottenham tomorrow, they will go joint with Palace in 15th. That's how bad Spurs are in the new year of 2025 after spending an unbelievable amount of money, right? So it's not looking good for Spurs as much as it's not good for Arsenal, which I think means it's probably going to be one of the stinkiest North London derbies you'll see in history. And it will probably be a boring 1-1 draw with not much happening in the game. And to add to that, There is a blueprint of how to play Arsenal Football Club. Everton have done it and they've got points out of it. So have Fulham, so have Brighton, so have Manchester United, to be fair. You've just gone and shown them how to do it. If Ange Postecoglou comes out and plays his style of football and loses, I think he should be sacked in the morning. Genuinely. I don't see how you can go to Arsenal and just, we are who we are, mate. We are who we are, mate. If he does that, he has to win. Like, he has to win or not lose anyway, right? You can't go there and let us beat you by playing that when every single team that has taken something from Arsenal this season has come and had a structure to their team and their game plan. That's what I would say. But look, it could go either way, the way we're playing. It's so bad at the moment watching Arsenal. We need to start taking some of these chances because we've really, it's not like we're scoring 5, but we're missing 6. We're not scoring at all, and we're missing 5 or 6. Is really bad. So we need to get 3 points because if Arteta dares lose to Man United and Newcastle before that in the Cup, and then loses the North London derby, and then the next game is Villa at home, and he loses to Emery again, I don't see how we can keep hold of him. Real talk. And I've said give him till May to see if he can win a Premier League or a Champions League. But if he loses the next 2 games, boys, I genuinely believe he needs to go. Like, that would prove to me you cannot do that, can you? You cannot go out of a competition, then go out of the next competition, losing to your biggest rivals, who I still think Man United are, by the way. Yeah, geographically it's Spurs. Then you go out and lose to them in the North London derby. And then you lose to your old manager again 3 times that week. Villarreal and Villa. Yeah. That cannot happen. That just
the problem that we've got here, right, is the problem that we've got here is a neutral. Because I'm a neutral in this situation, yeah. Is Tottenham Hotspur have the chance to do something amazing tomorrow. Yeah. Which is continue this absolute meltdown of Arsenal fans across the globe. Right? Because what we witnessed against United, spectacular. Yeah, GG's Potsy on your fan cam, GG's Turkish on your fan cam, judges, all these guys, yeah? Big up to all these guys. Fan cams were insane. If Spurs were to beat you tomorrow, my lord, it would be insane. Popcorn's out, yeah? I'm signing off the YouTube and I'm there and watching all the content all night. However, there's one big problem with this, guys. This is Tottenham Hotspur, yeah? Whenever the pressure's on, they fold, mate. They fold. So, unfortunately, as much as I'd love Tottenham, I really would love Tottenham. And I'd be watching it. I'd be rooting for Spurs, yeah, to beat Arsenal. It is Spurs. And whenever the pressure is on, they fold. So,
it's just reverse psychology a little bit. I know what you're doing here. No.
Because you know what everything I've just said there is absolutely
No, it's true. Yeah, it's true.
It's facts. True. So, you will win tomorrow. It might be stinky, yeah, but the best we can hope for is a draw. Because whenever the pressure's on, man, you know what I mean? They just can't deliver, man. It is the history of the Spurs, bro. You know what is it
with Spurs, though? They have saying over you all the time. Why do they have to cut?
Because it's a cup final, bro. We turn up and it's like, oh, City, man. You know what I mean? Kulusevski says he loves playing against City. It's the best game of the season. They turn up, bro.
Well, it's when the pressure's off, though. So whenever they play City, no one expects them to win. They get it done. When they beat Liverpool last week, they're getting beat 3 or 4-0. They win. People are now expecting them to beat you. And generally speaking with Tottenham,
that's the problem.
As soon as there is expectations, the puppers go. I remember when Poch was there. I remember sitting down. The Football Terrace existed, but I wasn't doing as many match reactions to every team back then. And it was a 12:30 game on a Saturday. And I sat down and I'm listening to the commentary a few minutes in, and the build-up was the same. They were playing Burnley away, Spurs. And they were like 3rd in the league. But if they won that match, they were then in a position because they played whoever was second and first and second, it would have probably been City and Liverpool. They were playing them both at home in the last 3 months of the season. They were in control of their own destiny and could have won the league because they would have played those 2 teams. I think they were 4 points behind, but because they played them both, they had the opportunity to leapfrog the way it worked. And they were talking about it in the game. They were asking Poch about it. Yeah, we're up for this. We want to try and win it. Got beat by Burnley. And then they went on an awful run towards the end of that season. That was, I think, they then got to the Champions League final. But if you actually look at their league form, it was awful. As soon as you put pressure and expectations upon Tottenham, they're just finished. They cannot handle it. So, as much as a lot of people are predicting a bad game, I think Arsenal will win. I think Kai Havertz is going to score. It's just so Spursy to go to a vulnerable Arsenal.
Yeah.
And lose. And I'll give you the example I would give. And I know, do Do you remember when you guys couldn't beat Chelsea for love nor money for all them years? And I don't know what season this was. I don't remember the year, but they had Diego Costa up front, and you had other Gabriel at centre back, and they'd started the season with 1 draw, 2 or 3 defeats. And you, man, went to Stamford Bridge, and it was like, and you guys are playing well, and it was our chance to finally get one over on them, and they beat you. Even though nobody predicted it, I see this in reverse. I think everybody is hoping, wishing, and praying that Spurs do it. And as soon as you put that pressure on Tottenham, they shit themselves. So, yeah, Arsenal win for me, 3-1.
I hope you're right, man. I hope you're right. I've just gone for a stinky, boring draw because I just think that's the way we're playing right now. But you might be right. Hopefully we turn up, man. What are you saying, LB? Think we'll win?
Yeah, I think you'll. It's at your place as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you'll win, man. I just think Spurs, when the pressure's on, they don't have what it takes, mate. I'd love to be wrong because I think we'd all have, well, not you, Potsy, but like me, Terry, and everybody in the chat who's not an Arsenal fan would have a great time. You know what I mean? Tomorrow night, we'd be loving life. But I just don't see
it. The content, by the way, on Sunday and into Monday was just so much of it was hilarious. It was just some of the rants. Some people losing their minds, but even at the opposite end, like watching Ty fight with people because Ty, I love Ty, but when he loses his head, that man, he's like a Yorkshire Terrier, isn't he? He's like a little Yorkshire Terrier, just barking at everybody. Julian, January's really hard to buy.
That's a lot of BS, by the way. Yeah, bro, put the money down. If you're serious, you'll get the player. Put the money down.
You know why I love Julian? Because his positivity sometimes it's ridiculous, but I laugh because he says it with such. I believe this though. Like when you guys lost 2-0 to Newcastle, well, you never know. It just the way he sort of says it. I'm like, I think what I find entertaining is I know it's going to rattle so many Arsenal fans, and that's the beauty of fan content. It isn't so much what someone says. It's, I can't wait to see the reaction to that and read the comments as well. Like watching YouTube videos and reading the comments at the same time. Fucking love it. I absolutely love it.
By the way, just quickly, people in the chat saying, why is there pressure on Spurs? They be serious. They're 12th in the league. They're 12th in the league, and it's a North London derby, and they're playing against their rivals who are going through bad form. Of course, the pressure's on. When they're 12th in the league, yeah, they can't go to their rivals and get up for a game against a vulnerable Arsenal. That's not pressure. Well, if they go to them and fold again, well, like Potsy said, they could be like 15th by the end of tomorrow. 15th. And by the way, yeah, only 3 teams in this division. Yeah, is that 3? Yeah, 3 teams in this division have lost more games in the Premier League than Spurs. Of course, the pressure's on them.
Yeah. And
someone in the chat, by the way, has just asked why Man City didn't sack Pep after 12. That's why we should stick with Arteta, because after 12 wins, they didn't sack Pep.
That's a completely reasonable comment. Completely reasonable. Ignore the trophy hole. I mean,
it's crazy.
What is going on here?
Crazy comment.
Crazy.
I'm living in Canada, but not sure. I'm not sure, but could London be better than Liverpool? I think most people would prefer to live in London over Liverpool. Having said that, the north of the country, if you live on the outskirts of some of the cities in places like Cheshire, it's beautiful. So there is some nice places up north. There's some nice places down south as well. Personally, I'd choose to live in the countryside and none of the cities if I was a football player. But that's just me. But we don't have mountains anywhere. Do you know what I mean? There's a few big hills every step every now and then. But yeah, there's not many anything else. But yeah, what do you guys reckon is going to happen tonight? Because I'm intrigued by the North London derby tomorrow if Liverpool drop points tonight. Because does that pressure damage Arsenal? Does it make them better? But what do you boys see happening? Nottingham Forest hosting Liverpool.
I think it's going to be a super tricky game for Liverpool, this. I think Forest are a good side. Didn't see it when they played us, mind. They were trash when they played us. But yeah, they're going to be up for it tonight, aren't they, Forest? Proper. I think that ground's going to be absolutely rocking. Fans need to get in there early, you know what I mean? Get the atmosphere up there and that. Yeah. So, yeah, I think, listen, but the thing is, yeah, I'm on this opinion that if Liverpool get a point tonight, I don't think that's a bad point.
No, I agree.
I don't think it's a bad point. Get a point, get in there and get out there, keep it moving. You don't want to get beat. That's what you don't want to do because you don't want this momentum to end. Get in there, get a point, get out. If you can get a win, brilliant. But I really don't think any Liverpool fans should be having any meltdowns or losing their crap if they draw. I think a draw at Forest. Forest is a tricky ground, man. Tricky place to play. They're a brilliant side. He's got them set up really well. Got some top players. get in, get out there is my opinion. Get out there without any injuries is the main thing, yeah, and then just keep it moving. Keep it moving. Just keep the momentum going, man. I don't think it's crucial that Liverpool win. Just avoid a loss so the momentum doesn't die, innit?
I think they're going to win this 2-1. I think it'll be a tight game, but I think Liverpool get out there with 3 points. I really do. And I'm a big fan of what Forest have done. I think they've been incredible, by the way. I think what Nuno's done there is superb. And I actually look, they're 1-11. Quite a lot of players there that I would actually walk into Arsenal's squad. Let me be real. They might not all walk into our first 11, but they definitely walk into our squad. Look, I think Forest deserve a hell of a lot of credit. But I do think that Liverpool will be well up for this game. You know, a lot of people have spoken about how Arne Slot keeps going on about when they last played Forest at Anfield. Now he's really gutting that they lost that, and how he got out tactic by Nuno, and how he got Nuno'd, whatever people call it. But I do think that they will win this one and get 3 points. And look, I wasn't impressed with Forest when they played us. We beat them quite convincingly 3-0. LB's just said Man City played them. It's time for them to turn up against Liverpool now. So I just hope that there is a chance that Forest can win, because obviously that's what I want. And do you know what? If they do win, they're in a title race. Like, real talk, they're in a title race because they've got one game a week and they're playing unbelievable. And I would look at them and say that actually they have got quite a good squad as well, Forest. It's not like they've got 11 players and the rest of it is trash. You know, they can bring on Taiwo Awoniyi, they can bring on James Ward-Prowse. They've got players they can bring on. So actually, do you know what? I think if they win this, they could do the unthinkable. I don't think they will, but it could be the unthinkable.
Oh, they win the game, then they've got to be taken seriously. I mean, we'll be 21 games into the season. I mean,
Yeah.
if Forest win tonight, still think Liverpool are going to win it, but they do have to be taken seriously. At some point, we have to take them seriously, right? So people say, nah, if they win tonight, nah. Well, what about next game? 22 matches. What about the game after 23, 24, 25? What point are you going to start taking them seriously? You know what I mean? Forest, so we'll start seeing, man. But listen, I think Forest, man, the recruitment has been top class. They've got some unbelievable players in that side. If they can get Champions League, which is still a tough ask, then it'll be interesting to see if they keep spending, because it seems like this owner, like, wants to back the club, doesn't he? He wants to put the money in. Obviously, spent all the money, got all the players in. They needed to do that. They took the points reduction, which, by the way, yeah, I think if you're a club who's mid-table, who has genuine ambitions, is it worth maybe taking a 6-point deduction if it means you're getting a couple of extra players in the door? Potentially. I think some clubs will probably look at that now. You know what I mean? Because look at Forest. Like, are they bothered that they got 6-point deduction? Not now. They survived and now they're thriving. So, you know, I think that calls into question, are the punishments for PSR big enough? Are they a big enough deterrent? I'd argue no.
Bigger punishments needed then.
Well, yeah. Hopefully not for my club, but you know what I mean. I think seriously though, if you support a team who's like not going to get relegated, really, you're between like 15th and mid-table, yeah, and you've just been offered a mint player, 50 million quid, but it's going to push you over the edge of PSR. That means you're going to get a 6-point deduction. But if you get him, it means like the season after or whatever, you could really push up the league.
Yeah.
I'm saying it's like probably worth taking the 6-point deduction and getting the player.
It is, because the likes of Forest, they suffered what the Premier League referred to as minor breaches, where they'd slightly overspent. It wasn't major breaches or breaking of the rules. So if you're like sailing close to that wind and, oh, look, this transfer is going to take us over by a couple of million quid, you're not getting a 15, 20, 30 point deduction. You're not having title stripped or transfer bans. It's going to be a few £1 million here and there, and I think it is worth taking that risk at times. If you were going to sign, what I would say would be stupid is make it, you know, I don't know, a Brighton spending an extra £300 million one summer and losing 500 million, because then the breach is huge and you're probably going to get a 30-point deduction and you're gone. Breaking news, by the way, Arsenal just confirmed that Gabriel Jesus has sustained a ACL injury and will now go on to treatment. So that's going to be about 9 to 12 months out for Gabriel Jesus, and probably he might feature a little bit back end of next season, but probably played his last game for the club, if we're being honest.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to get rid of him now, if I'm honest, in the summer. But I do think that it's a player that doesn't have a future. I've just seen as well that Zinchenko apparently is in talks with Dortmund for a loan with an option to buy as well. So looks like both of them players from City are Orskis now. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think there's a compliment to the club of where we now move past them both. I think they've both been good for where we needed at the time, and they put us into a title race, which was great. But I think we've moved past those players now personally. And I wanted to ask LB a quick question, actually. How many points are you going to finish beyond Liverpool, do you think? You're 12 at the moment. It could be 15 with their game in hand. Now you've got a couple of players in January. What are you trying to aim for points-wise?
It all depends on whether we get this midfielder. If we get a midfielder in, I think we'll close the gap till about 7, 8. If we get a midfielder. If we don't get a midfielder, then yeah, could probably stay at 15.
You signed, so Omar Mamouche's coming. You've signed.
It's not official, but it sounds like it.
Yeah, it looks like he's coming. We know he's an attacker. The other two lads you've signed, where do they play? What positions?
Both defenders.
Both defenders. So you haven't addressed the midfield yet. Okay.
No, and there's no links. Now, my theory, yeah, and it's only a theory. We were linked. One of the best City sources, yeah, Jack Gorn, who works for the Daily Mail, right? He said before the window opened, City want Ederson, right? From Atalanta. My theory is this. I think City have got to Atalanta and sort of like had some sort of conversations with them about Ederson. The problem is they're in a title race and they've never in their history of the football club won Serie A, right? They've got 5 games before the end of the season, before the end of the transfer window, right? The first game, Udinese, they drew 0-0. They're 3 points behind Napoli, top of the league. They've got Juventus next, and then the game after that is Napoli. I think if we get to the end of the transfer window late on, and Atalanta have drifted away from the title race, I think they'll sell him. But I think if they're in a title race, 3 or 4 points, I don't think they're not going to sell.
That makes sense. Yeah.
That's my theory on it.
Yeah, they're 9-10 points behind them. Yeah, I mean, Champions League football, though, it depends on how much they're dropping. But that makes sense. Equally, look, I know you guys need a midfield player, but there's no point dropping £40 million on someone that isn't up to standard. You are still...
We can't make another mistake. We've gone for Phillips, not good enough. We've gone for Nunez, not good enough. We need to get this one right. Do you know what I mean? And by the way, this signing of a midfielder gives us a shot at the Champions League. Because we've got no chance. I mean, we might not even qualify this, mate. Right? But we've got no chance of winning this Champions League, in my opinion, unless we buy a midfielder. So if we buy one and it's good enough, we've actually got a chance to win something. If you don't, best you're going to vote for is FA Cup, and I'm not even sure you can win that with the way our midfielder is at the moment. So we got to get it. We got to get it, and hopefully we'll get one. And listen, if you can't get one, it's poor, but it is what it is. Let's see what's happening. But yeah, no links at the moment, man.
Yeah, I mean, decent signing. I don't know too much about the defenders you've signed. I'm not going to lie. I've read some good stuff and seen people buzzing, but Omar Mamouche, I mean, that's a good bit of business. Good bit of business.
This is class, mate. This guy, is an unbelievable player. I watched him at the weekend against Pauli. 1-0, scored the goal. He was the best player on the pitch by a country mile. He just looks like he's got everything he needs to come into the City team and instantly help us in the.
Who we talking about?
Mamouche.
Oh yeah,
Mamouche, mate. He looks like he can play on the left, up top as a striker, behind the striker, attacking midfielder. Sort of like what we wanted Alvarez to do, but Alvarez was he wasn't great at it. He was a bit clunky with it, really. I think Mamouche is going to be a top signing. And I think City and Frankfurt are almost there on the negotiation. They play tonight, actually. They play tonight. So if he's not in the starting 11, I think it's pretty much done. But what I'm reading, I think there's about £5 or £6 million in it so far in the transfer. So it'll get done. It might just go into sort of back end of this week, early next week. But honestly, it's a mint sight. This guy's so good. And it proves that you can sign players in the transfer window. You know, these people say, you can't get players in. You can if you show intent. Yeah, and the player wants the move, you'll get the move. You've got to pay up, you've got to pay money. But is it better to pay the money and potentially save your season? Or are you just going to let the season drift off? You know, these two young centre-backs, I've never seen either of them play. Spoken to a couple of people that have watched them play and very promising. You know what I mean? They've got development areas, especially Husanov. I think Victor Hayes, who's coming from Palmeiras, he's the one that's more likely to come into the starting 11 straight away. I think Husanov from Lens is a little bit more... might need a little bit of time, but again, a very promising player, both aggressive on the ball, which is what we need. And just get me this midfielder. If we can get them two defenders, get Mamouche and get me a midfielder. Like, it's a stunning window. And we've got Claudio Echeverri as well, coming from River Plate. He's in the Sudamericano. That starts later in the month. So, yeah, man, listen, we're making moves, and I always believe the club will do that. I think that's the difference. And I have faith that my club will rectify the issues and they can get this midfielder in. Yeah, who knows? Don't write us off for the Champions League, man.
Or the league.
The
Or
league's
the
a bit too
league.
much. This is why it gets really annoying, because had we have beaten United, had we have beaten Everton when we was winning 1-0 and beaten maybe Brighton when we was winning that 1-0, bro, I promise you now, I'd be sitting here now saying we can do it, we can win the league. It's just too much, man. It's 12 points plus a game in hand. It's too much. Even if we beat them and you beat them, we've still got to win another 3 or 4 games and hope that they lose matches. And there's only 19 games left or something. Like I just don't think it's enough.
It isn't just that based on probability. You're not second and 12 points off top and with a game in hand. You're 6th. You're a point behind Newcastle, 2 points behind Chelsea, 6 behind Nottingham Forest, 6 behind Arsenal, and then you've got that 12-point gap. It's the probability of being better than all those teams. Now, theoretically, I know people say if you're better than Liverpool, you will grow. But what if Arsenal also have a great run? What if Chelsea have a great run? There's so many factors into it. It's not just you versus Liverpool. So, yeah, I don't see you winning the league from this point. However, if Mamouche comes in and starts scoring, one of the biggest things that's cost you points in that run, which got ignored for too long, and that's why I think you guys have gone and done it. You needed somebody else that was going to go and score you some goals. And I know that Doku and Savio have added a few more in the last couple of games, but they have been very, very winnable games for you. And there's some bigger tests on the horizon. So you needed more firepower at the very least. And that's maybe what's going to help you with the Champions League. You don't need the best midfield in Europe to win the Champions League. You've just got to be able to outscore a team on the day, essentially. I think a league is very different in terms of level of consistency, and with the signings you've made, if a couple of those defenders come in and look good to begin with, and if Mamouche comes in and delivers for you like he's doing right now in the Bundesliga, then you could definitely win the Champions League. You could definitely win the FA Cup. Those things are very.
We can only win the Champions League though if we get a better midfielder. Mate, Barcelona, and Real Madrid would play us off the park.
But you might not play them. That's why I'm saying you could win it.
No, come on. You're going to probably play Barcelona or Real Madrid if you're going to get to the Champions League.
You might get one of them, but again, I wouldn't make you a favourite. But the thing is, if you start scoring more goals, these new defenders do well, I wouldn't make you a favourite, even top 2, top 3, but I'd still probably have you in the top 5 favourites to win the Champions League, because you just have and if you start scoring goals, you can do it. But I do hear you. I do hear your point. There's a super chat here. What does it say? It says, apparently Kolo Muani is edging close to Juve, so Vlahovic to Arsenal seems more likely. Would you be happy with Vlahovic if he was to come to Arsenal?
Yeah, listen, I'm desperate, so I'm kind of desperate at the moment. I liked Vlahovic's form at Fiorentina. I don't think he's been outstanding at Juventus. I don't think he's been bad, but I don't think he's been outstanding. But he has still got age on his side. He is the type of striker that I like. I think he's more of an all-round striker. I don't think his first touch is quite it, but neither is Kai Havertz, to be fair. I think he's an upgrade on what we've got. Yeah, I do. I don't know what you boys would think of that. I don't think he's my number one target by any means.
A good player. Good player. I think if he's available, go get him. Why not?
Yeah,
why not?
I'm with you.
Scores goals everywhere he's been. Look at this, man. Like 21 goals, 17, 7, but he was injured. 10, 16. He's on 7 and 16 this year. This guy scored goals, mate.
Yeah, he's got 125 goals in 281 games as a professional football player. Yes, it isn't a Champions League. 6 goals in 12 Champions League appearances. He's not. I know everyone wants a striker that scores like Haaland, where you're nearly like a 90%, 95%, 100% ratio. They're as rare as rocking horse shit. I almost feel like you could buy someone like this, depending on the price. You could still add another striker to the mix. He's a good striker. I would categorize him as good to very good in that regard. Is he going to go in there and suddenly start scoring? I mean, you might have a bump as soon as he moves in, but then Juve. I mean, is he the reason that Juve aren't that great? I don't watch enough, to be fair, but he's a good player. I would say. Fiorentina form was certainly. I can't believe he's already played more games for Juve than he's played for Fiorentina. Doesn't feel like 5 minutes ago he was at Fiorentina.
No,
but
it don't. And I wanted him when he was at Fiorentina. He was banging in goals. But we have said this before, haven't we? Everybody wanted Darwin Nunez at Benfica for smashing in goals, and he's not done that at Liverpool.
But this season, he's turned 24, or he's about to turn 25. This season, 16 league games, 7 goals, 5 Champions League games, 4 goals, one in the the Italy Cup. I don't know what the Italy Cup is, but he scored in it. 12 goals in 23 games. It's not a bad return in terms of his output here, and he's missed 4 games with small muscle injuries as well. So it's not a bad return.
I can't get him, man. Why not? You know what I mean? For me, you've got to even get him. Yeah, Gyökeres or Osimhen, because you're not getting Isak, lads. Yeah, I don't know why the media keep on pushing this. You're not getting him.
No.
Right? So go and get one of them for him.
Do you think that won't? Not ever will they get him in your opinion?
They're not going to get him this summer, and they won't get him next summer. And by that point, he would have signed a new contract, unless he's going to run his contract down. But that means he's got to stay on this wage for the next 3 years.
Or we would have signed someone else. Or we would have signed someone else. That's what could have happened. Because like Man City don't need Isak now because they got Ireland, right? It could be like that when we might just move on from Isak. But he's the number 1, of course. But if he wants to stay at Newcastle, we can't get him. Yeah, he's right. Absolutely.
What about this in the chat? Big up to Miena with the super chat. We'll get Darwin Nunez from Liverpool, bro.
Mate, Liverpool turning down 70 million for him is criminal.
That's ridiculous, man.
That cannot be true. That cannot be true. There's no way they've turned down 70 million quid for Darwin Nunez. Not a chance, I believe that. Has that come from any credible source?
I think it's come from an outlet in Saudi Arabia. So I don't know why they would lie about that. I hear you. I don't understand that amount of money. This is what's crazy. If you're Liverpool, you go, right, 70 mil, boom. That shows straight in our books. You go straight to Sporting and say, there's the buyout clause for Gyökeres. Liverpool, in my opinion, if Gyökeres join Liverpool today, guarantee they win the league. I actually think they go on to win the Champions League as well. Then you've got Salah and Gyökeres burying goals left, right, and centre. It's over. Why would you not take 70? Why would you not take your money back? It's a bit like, imagine if you went to a bookmakers and you betted £1,000 and you lost it, and they went, got a special offer today. There's £1,000 back. Do you want it? What's the catch? No, nothing. We'll just pay your debt off for you. Great. You take your money back, wouldn't you? You just take your money back. You're just getting your money back. You're getting your money back. Yeah, it's crazy.
Got to get rid of him.
Yeah. I mean, I would even listen. I'd take the 70 million for him and I'll invest it into a deal towards Isak. If I was Liverpool, I'd say, look, 130 million. We'll pay you 70 million up front, the rest in installments, which is a pretty good deal to get that. I would go hell for leather if I was Liverpool with that kind of money towards a striker.
Yeah, but here's the thing. If I was right? If I was Newcastle, I wouldn't sell Isak. I wouldn't sell him at all. I think, bro, I just wouldn't sell him. I wouldn't sell him.
You thought about it. You thought about a price and went, nah, I'm not.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't sell him, bro. I wouldn't sell him. Why would I sell him?
No, I'm with you. I agree.
150 million. Why? Why would it take 150 million for him? I want to spend. I don't want 150. I want Isak. If I'm a Newcastle fan, I want Isak. I don't want 150 million or 200 million. No, I don't. Sometimes, in life, it's not all about the money, guys. Yeah, you got Isak.
It's true. The only thing I would say, listen, your logic's spot on. The only other side to that is if a player wants to leave, like your club.
Yeah, facts. If he wants to leave, but give him a new contract then.
But that's the other side of it. That's what Liverpool have got to try and do. You've got to try. The only way anyone's getting Isak is if they can turn his head, bruv. They have got to turn his head and make him leave. That's the only way.
Newcastle, tomorrow morning, I'd say, Isak, come my office, mate. Yeah. Knock. Enters the room. All right, mate. It's your lucky day. £300,000 a week. Sign the contract.
How long will the contract be? Def Jam?
Until he's 30.
So 6-year deal.
6-year deal. 300 grand a week. 300. Happy days.
Yeah, 300 grand a week. Give him keys to the city. Do you know what I mean? Yep. You make him and say, this, I'll do loads. I'll do that and say, listen, if we win the league, as you're the lead striker and top goal scorer, we name a stand after you. We name 3 streets. We name a street after you, street after your mum, and a street after your firstborn child. Go all in. You got to do it. Because listen, I'm about to say he's the best striker they've ever had. That's not true. They had Alan Shearer. I'm talking in recent history, he's the best they've had. And they've had some decent ones, to be fair. We all remember Cisse and Demba Ba were good. And they might not get better. That's not a dig. He's really, really good. You take Vlahovic. Squad doesn't have a single 9. Havertz is not a 9. Jesus' career is done. Martinelli not good enough and not a 9. Trossard is not a 9.
Bro.
It's a fair point. It's a very, very fair point.
That's perfect. It's absolutely bang on. And I'd take Vlahovic. I would. He's not my number 1. That's all I would say. I'd take Gyökeres over him this window, but I don't know that he's available. And if Vlahovic is the only one that is, I'd rather have Vlahovic over that Sesko, I think, if I'm honest with you. Because Sesko.
That Gyökeres has got a release clause in it.
Yeah, but I don't think we're going for him, are we?
8
I don't
million.
think anyone is, to be fair.
I don't think. Listen, I've got a theory, and it's shrouded in bias. It's drenched in bias. It's saturated to the core. To the
Amorim
bone.
has spoken to him, and he wants to go in.
He's coming Man United. That's why he wants
There we
pulling
go.
away. He's going to be a United player.
Another striker that you signed.
Yeah. We need one. You said
Hey,
earlier.
it's not like he spent, what, 120 million quid on 2 strikers.
It ain't like you've done 300 million on the midfield and want a new one, is it? Come on.
Yeah, but we win stuff.
But we're trying to win stuff. I mean,
You could have said we won the FA Cup last year against you. That would have been a good response.
It would have been, but I'm even thinking about it. I want to win more. Like, we knocked out Arsenal the other day.
Are we going to have a proper, honest conversation about how trash Højlund is now? By the way,
no.
Yeah, because I don't want to hear this thing about we don't get the chances. This guy is useless.
No, I will say this, right?
2 Premier League goals all season, chat.
No, he's been poor. I feel like looking at it now, he was raw when he came. Where we've done him dirty is that he just wasn't ready to lead the line for Man United, and he still isn't. And he hasn't had enough development. We haven't had the system and that rawness. And that's why I think you're right about Benjamin Sesko. I think there's an element of if you take a player too early and try and make him the star, it can sometimes go really wrong. Some people don't like Højlund and they'll say what you're saying, Terry, is an excuse. Fair enough. You might just think he's trash and you're allowed to believe that. But for me, he's just never really... Back in the last season, he started coming on from the bench quite a bit and he looked better. Coming on against fresh legs, little 10-minute here, little 20-minute there. And I just feel like that's where he needs to be right now. So that's why I want Victor Gyökeres as well. I still think there's a good quality striker in Rasmus Højlund, but he just isn't ready to lead the line for Man United. And maybe he's been exposed to it too much and he won't, we were sort of talking earlier about pressure and sometimes a player can not recover from it. But yeah, he ain't ready. He ain't good enough to lead the line for Man United. Either way, whether I'm right, whether he's just trash, that's all kind of fluff, really. He isn't good enough to lead the line for Man United long term. And look, Xerxes came on and looked really good against Arsenal, held the ball up well. I don't think he's good enough either. And I'm talking about, I want a striker who I think is good enough to lead us towards challenging for the Prem and challenging for the Champions League. I'm setting the standard that high. Neither of them are that good. Both are probably good backups. That's it for me. We've overpaid for Rasmus if he's a backup, but yeah, we need to buy him more. 100%. 100%. And I don't do any of this. I don't do any of this Xerxes over Rasmus and Rasmus over him. I was very disappointed with Man United fans on Sunday on a day that should have just been celebration, trying to use one player to beat another one with. Both have had good moments for us. Both have had disastrous moments for us. I'm not attacking one any more than the other. I'm not attacking either, actually. I'm not criticizing one any more than the other. And I'm never going to use one to beat the other one with. Let's drop this bullshit as fans, eh? If you want to prop up Joshua Xerxes for a minute, the person you should have done it against was someone like Kai Havertz at the weekend. That's who you should have been laughing and making. Don't attack your own players to prop another one up. That's some weird shit to me, bruv. That's some weird shit to me. But anyway, sorry, over to you, LB. You were going to say something. Sorry.
No, I don't know what I was going to say. No, I just think you gambled on him too early, innit? The most goals he's ever scored in his career is 10 in a season. So you gambled on him early. And it's just not paying off. And then you went and got Xerxes, who I think's most goals he's ever scored is 11. Another player that doesn't score too many goals. So I think the next striker that you buy, it has to be someone that's proven to score goals.
Yeah, and also I don't think it would have been as big a problem if we had, say, Amorim's here for 2 years. The system's working well. The team plays great. The atmosphere is brilliant. Then if you went and got a young, raw striker, you can kind of make that work. But you were putting them into an environment that was bad, a team that had no structure. It's the combination of all of these things at the same time. It was crazy. I think if you took Rasmus and put him into City's team last year, I think everyone's looking at a very different player right now. Not in your starting lineup, but on the bench and coming on from the bench. I think you're looking at a different player today, and maybe looking at someone that everybody else wants to buy and talk about. You know, you've seen Jackson go to Chelsea, and you've seen the difference in. I know he's had a bit of a torrid December, but you saw a different player this season as soon as Chelsea started playing better football. But yeah, I think we need to look beyond him, unfortunately, which is a shame because there's talent there. But Isak is not someone the Cronkies will sign for 150 million, quoted. Someone like Vlahovic or Sesko is more realistic option.
I agree with that. I think they are more realistic options. I don't think they're the ones we should go ahead of Isak, but yeah, I'd say they're more realistic, yeah.
I get that. Arsenal fans should take Zubimendi news with a pinch of salt. Everyone confirmed Liverpool almost had the deal done. But that was true. This is what I would say about these journalists. And I know they get a lot of stick, but they're only telling us what they believe to be a fact right now. Where you're right is that Zubimendi could wake up tomorrow and go, actually, I want to live by the mountains again. So it doesn't mean that the stories are untrue. So I do get your point. But for me, I don't think Arsenal, well, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm giving Arsenal too much credit. They are the kings of PR. I don't think they'd have released this news to this many journalists unless they were 99.9% sure they were going to get this done.
Colin Mawani's just agreed to go Juventus. This could get interesting now. Arsenal have got to go and get Vlahovic now.
Who's confirmed that news out, by the way?
It's just buzzed on my phone, mate. On my live score, it's literally just buzzed. It's agreed. I don't know what the news has just come from. Maybe it's Sky Sports or something, but it's normally pretty reliable when live score buzz it up. So, yeah, if Colin Mawani's agreed to go to Juventus, then they're going to get rid of Vlahovic. You watch, someone else will go and get him now. And he'll probably end up going to
Man United.
Man United, yeah.
I think our issue is, I think as soon as a player or two leaves us, we're waiting for someone to actually officially bid for Rashford. There's been a lot of noise about Napoli and Garnacho, though. There's a lot of noise, sort of 60-odd million, he could be gone. Which he wouldn't have been one of the first names I saw leaving, but the money's right. As long as we're reinvesting it, I'm not that worried. I do trust what we're doing overall. I'm not saying we ain't making mistakes, but you know, we've had 2 weeks of training and I see a different team. Not getting carried away, though, but I do think we'll beat Southampton. But this is City. City has to overtake 5 teams to win the league. Will be outstanding if they did it. Yeah, I mean, where would you rate that in terms of best seasons? As in best seasons if you did it this year?
I think for me, if he somehow manages to win the league this year, which I don't think he will, I think it'll probably be his greatest title winning ever.
Yeah, it will be.
From all the shit he's had to do with, the players just finished. The trouble behind the scenes, captain leaving halfway for a season. I think it'd be insane if we won the league this year, but I just don't see it. I think it's Liverpool's, man. I think it's wrapped up.
There we go. Where is the Chelsea talk? Well, there ain't much to talk about with Chelsea at the minute. We've done quite a lot of shows on them last week. There's been other conversations that we've had today, but we're talking Chelsea after their game tonight. So make sure you're tuning into the match reaction. You better be there if you want to listen to the Chelsea talk. That's where it will be. Listen, gents, always a pleasure to sit and speak football with you. This video is going to redirect you somewhere. I don't know exactly what channel. I never always know. Judge Mo's, Footy Judge Mo's channel. So go and support Judge Mo over there with the stuff that he's talking about. He's going live in a few moments. Potsy, LB, always a pleasure, boys, to speak. To all of the viewers, super chatters, thank you. Hit the like and the share buttons before you leave. And we'll see you all tonight after the Premier League games. Peace.